Hey, good morning, everyone. Michael Fanning, and this is warm up 250. Kind of chilly out. Took my coat up a little bit. So I watched a great TED Talk this morning by Laura Vanderkam called "How Do We Take Control of Our Free Time?" And one of the things that I do in coaching with the Robin Sharma Titan Academy is we do this thing called the Weekly Design System. And I thought it would be great. I'm going to share the TED Talk, but I want you to watch it because there's a misnomer that a lot of people think they don't have time. And what she talks about in her TED Talk is that we do have time. And I love that. And there's just a couple things I pulled out of there, and you can listen to this. But she said, we don't save time to have a life. We build a life that we want, and time saves itself. And so she said there's a lot of people that have tips and tricks on how to get more time in the day. She says she believes we have enough time in the day. The problem is we don't prioritize. And she tells a story of a woman that she did a study on who were doing time logs. And this woman, very, very busy woman, comes home one night and finds that her hot water tank has leaked into her basement. And so she has to get that fixed. And so she's logging all this time. And so Laura realizes that as she looks at her time for the week, in order for her to get it fixed and do everything she needed to do, it took 7 hours, right? Well, in 1 week, if that's 7 hours, that's an extra hour every day. So how is she able to take care of that and add 7 hours? Because if you would have asked her before she realized her hot water tank was leaking, and said, hey, can you spare 7 hours this week to mentor some of our people at our office? Hey, do you have 7 hours this week to commit to training for a marathon? She'd probably say, no, I'm so busy I don't have any time. But yet she was able to find this time to fix her water heater that was equivalent to 1 hour a day. And what Laura says in her TED Talk is she says that time will stretch to the things that we have priorities for. But the problem is we don't, right? We don't set priorities. And this gets back to when I'm talking about a weekly design system. You know, we do a lot of things in the review. You know, you think about at work, they have your performance review, right? That's all about everything you did in the past. What about your performance preview? What about if we did a performance preview that said, hey, what are the things you want to accomplish in the future? And let's map those out and let's make it an amazing year. You see people, she talks about this in her TED Talk, that do the Christmas letters, right? Here's all the great things we did last year. What if you wrote a Christmas letter now for next year and then you sent it out and see how well you did? You know, Windermere right now, we're getting ready to do business planning, all right? And we're opening it up to our entire network where we're going to plan out your plan for what you want to accomplish next year. It'll be interesting to see how many people take advantage of that, because here's what we find. The majority of us do not plan. The majority of us, right, we live in a reactionary life. We don't have a weekly design system, and we frame our life in 24-hour time frames. And she says this in the TED Talk, which I think is so interesting. Life is not about 24 hours, right? We really don't live every day. We live every week. And she breaks this down, and this is something that was interesting. She said, you know, if you think about it, in a course of a week, we all have 168 hours. And out of those 168 hours, let's say we work, right? We work 40 of those hours and we sleep 56 hours. So that leaves us with 72 hours left over. What are you doing with your 72 hours? Some people say, well, I work way more than I work 50 hours a week. Okay, so now that gives you 62 free hours. Well, wait, I work 60 hours a week. Okay, that gives you 52 free hours. And she says, some people say they work 75 hours a week. She says, are you sure? Studies show that people who say that they work more than 60 hours a week are off by 25 hours. It's funny how she talks about that. But here's the point. How many of you do a weekly design where you prioritize what you're going to accomplish this coming week? And are you breaking it down? And she gives you some categories here. The categories are you breaking it down into what's the priority for your work, what's the priority for your relationships, and what's the priority for yourself? You know, and here's what we find, and this was interesting to me, is that most of the time when people say, I don't have time to do that, here's the challenge. We need to change the way we're saying it. What you're really, really saying is that's not a priority to me. Because if it was a priority, you would make it happen. Just as if that hot water tank that leaked in her basement, it immediately became a priority. When something's a priority, guess what? We find the time. The problem is we are very reactionary in how we approach our lives, and so we don't find the time. What we do is we contextualize our life in 1 day instead of a week. And if you really think about it, there's things that we're doing that are not productive in any way, shape, or form, and we are not planning our priorities. So going back to what she says that I think just is profound, build the life you want, and the time will save itself, as opposed to trying to save time so that we can have a life. And it's based on building your priorities. So I would challenge all of you, how many of you are going to do a 2021 business life plan? How many of you are going to sit down on a Sunday and do a weekly design system for the week and say what is going to happen? And the last thing is this: how many of you time block? How many of you look at your day and say, these are my priorities and this is when they're going to happen? And one other thing, you guys, if you want more time, get out of bed, right? I can't believe how many people can get up earlier and have more time, yet they won't do it. And they'll make excuses left and right. And here's why you don't get out of bed early. It's not a priority to you. It's not a priority to you. Make it a priority. All right, everybody. Hey, be awesome and help somebody make it a great day. And remember to vote. And also, too, for those of you who commented on the warm-up I did with my kids, thank you. I am grateful for my kids. And I loved it that they were willing to go on and just share a little bit about who they are and talk a little bit about how they perceive, our relationship. So anyways, thanks, everybody. All right, talk to you later.